Hello, 9th and 10th grade Silver Eagles. This week, Wednesday, April 10th, is a big day. We have our pre-ACT secure testing on Wednesday. And I'd like to share a little bit more about what Wednesday looks like in terms of the schedule, and also share some important information about the pre-ACT. So if we look at that schedule for Wednesday, from 8:15 to 11:50, we have the pre-ACT secure testing. That's for all freshmen, all sophomores. And then we have our lunch period, which is 50 minutes. And then we move into our afternoon, where you will see all of your B-Day teachers in shortened classes, about 35 to 38 minutes each. During that 8:15 to 11:50 period with the pre-ACT testing, we'll also have a break. So you'll have an opportunity to get up, stretch, use the restroom, those kinds of things prior to taking that second half of the pre-ACT. One thing that you do want to do prior to Wednesday is check the student services windows for your testing room. All of the testing rooms are posted on the window in the student services area, and you can take a look there, locate your name, and you'll see what room you are testing in on Wednesday morning. So that's something you definitely want to do prior to Wednesday morning. Now let's take a look at some information about the pre-ACT and this assessment that you will take on Wednesday. Some general information about it. The assessment is aligned to the ACT and college and career readiness standards. What this means is that the test mocks the ACT and helps predict how you will do as a junior on that ACT. So it's a great practice examination for the ACT. The structure of the test, the types of questions, the way it's formatted, the way it is timed, all of those things help prepare for the ACT as a junior. It's also a great gauge of your grade level skills to see where you're at comparatively on a national level. Those college and career readiness standards, you have been studying and learning this information since your first year in school as a kindergarten student, and continuing to learn this information all the way up to now. And so the preparation is already there for this assessment. Finally, another reason that we should take the pre-ACT secure assessment seriously is it's great practice for any future timed assessment that you'll encounter, whether that's the graduate record examination, which is the GRE and required for many graduate schools. The LSAT is the law school admissions test, the DAT is the dental admissions test. If you look at the trade union aptitude tests, those are timed tests that you need to show your level of proficiency during a certain amount of time. If you're going on to college, whether it's at Madison College or a four-year university, you may have to take placement tests to be placed accordingly in your freshman year classes. So there's many opportunities that you may encounter for that timed test. This is a great preparation opportunity to show your level of proficiency in a certain given amount of time and pace yourself through that test. What is the structure of that pre-ACT? What will it look like on Wednesday? There are 4 multiple choice sections that are all timed for this test. You'll start with English, and then you'll have math, reading, and science. So each one of those has a certain number of questions and a given amount of time. So let's take a look at each of those sections, the number of questions and the amount of time that you have to complete those. The English section has 48 questions and 55 minutes to complete. The math section, you have 38 questions and 70 minutes to complete. The reading section has 33 questions and 55 minutes to complete. That reading section, you'll be reading several passages and answering questions related to each passage. A general suggestion for that reading section is to read the section in its entirety and then answer the questions related to that section. So the first passage, read that first passage in its entirety and answer the easiest questions related to that passage first. Look at the ones that are more difficult and go back and dig into that particular passage a little bit deeper to answer those questions. That science section, we have 36 questions and 55 minutes. So it's important to look at the amount of time that you have for each section and the amount of time that you have to spend on each question in each one of those sections. Some basic tips for test taking when you encounter the pre-ACT, and eventually the ACT. You'll want to answer every question. It's better to fill in your best answer, even if you're not certain that that's the answer that's correct 100%. That's a better strategy than just leaving it blank. You're not penalized for filling it in. It's not better to leave it blank. So do take your best stab at each question. If you're stuck, move on. Circle that question and move on, and come back to that one later. As a general guide, looking at the pre-ACT and ACT, the 60 to 90 seconds is a good guide for how long you should spend on each question. If you look through the time that we just looked at, if you're spending more than that, you definitely want to move on, circle that problem, come back to it at the end, and see if you have a better understanding of it after you've gone through a few more. Also, use the process of elimination. This is multiple choice. There will definitely be answers that you recognize as incorrect right away. You can cross those out and limit your choices down to 2 in some cases. And so you do use that process of elimination, especially if you're not sure what the answer is. You may be sure that 2 of them are not the right answer and be able to take a better stab at it that way. Finally, this test does allow for a pretty generous amount of time, and so you should have some time at the end to go through, check your work, make sure your bubbles match your work and those are correct, and go back to those more difficult questions that maybe you circled and moved on from. Let's talk about some general procedures for that day. It's really important to be on time. We need to be in our seats and ready to roll. 8:15 is the start time. We can't allow students in after 8:15. That's the same as the ACT, so we're really following that same guideline. Plan ahead, be here at 8 o'clock, ready to go, in your seat, in your room, so that you're not rushed, you feel comfortable, and you get off to a very good start for that pre-ACT assessment. Important items to bring to school that day. You want to bring your school-issued Chromebook fully charged. That's really first and foremost and the most important. Make sure your Chromebook is fully charged and you have that ready to go in the morning. Should have your photo ID. If you have a driver's license, student ID is fine, passport, but you do need a photo ID for the assessment. A pen or a pencil. Calculator is optional. There are some calculators that are designated by the ACT as acceptable, but there is an ACT calculator built into this testing software as well. But if you'd like to bring a calculator, certainly do that. On this next slide, we take a look at some of the calculators that are approved by ACT to use on all of their tests, including the pre-ACT. Some things not to bring that day. Please do not bring your cell phone. Don't even bring it to school that day would be my suggestion. If you do have it at school, keep it in your locker. The issue with cell phones, if you have a notification of any kind, you are disqualified from the assessment. If you check your cell phone, you are disqualified from the assessment, and that includes break. So say you're finished or you're on break and you by habit check your cell phone, unfortunately you'd be disqualified from the assessment. So I would certainly advise not bringing that cell phone into the assessment room or into your testing room. Electronic watch, if you have an electronic watch, those are not permitted by ACT, so we can't bring those into the room. If you have an old school watch and you want to set it down for your timer, that's great, you can do that. But don't bring an electronic watch like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, any of those kinds of things into the assessment. If you want to bring a water bottle, that's great. You can certainly use that during break time to hydrate a little bit. Some other suggestions, and this is for the pre-ACT. I would say this will be true for the ACT. It will also be true for any big day that you have in your life, if it's a job interview or anything like that. Be aware of your sleeping pattern leading up to that assessment. We want to make sure that we're getting a good night's sleep. We want to make sure that we're eating right, having nutritious meals. For this particular day, we want to lay everything out the night before. So your student ID, if you're taking a calculator, make sure your laptop is laid or your Chromebook is laid out and it's fully charged. All those things the night before, so that when you wake up, all those things are ready to go. We're not scrambling looking for anything that morning. Plan your departure time so that you are here early that day and well in advance of 8:15. And also stay in your routine. If you're an early riser and you get up and take a walk every day, do that on the day of the pre-ACT. If you are a coffee drinker, drink your coffee that morning. If you're not a coffee drinker, you wouldn't want to drink coffee because that would throw you out of your routine. So whatever your morning routine is, I would stay in that routine, and that'll help you perform up to your optimal ability on that pre-ACT. Finally, be confident and do your best on this assessment. As I said at the start, it's really advantageous to take this assessment seriously, do your best, and practice for that ACT and other opportunities in life.